1961 welcome back, besides all the great things that are going on here, is the fact that the alumni, everywhere I go in the community, I run into very successful alumni of the University of St. Thomas doing great things.
I first came here in 1951 for the graduation of the first class, which my cousin, who later became Father Joe Courtney, was in. So he mentioned to me years later, why don't you come to St. Thomas? So when I was college age, I came here in 1958. I've been to another college, which shall remain nameless, the year before, and graduated in 1961, and it was a wonderful experience.
I had the wonderful privilege of coming to the University of St. Thomas that opened many doors for me, particularly art history and history. And because of the training I got here, I've been able to have a wonderful life and meet many interesting people in those fields. And I love the Basilians and all my friends here at St. Thomas.
We were late bloomers. We both came here for the last 2 years of our college education. And both had been in the service before that, so we had to guide the younger students.
Well, thank God they didn't follow us. There was a big help that way.
My brother Mike did the mystery bus trips down to Galveston, which we danced on the places on stilts on the beach, and then came back to study our English.
Right. And obviously we did a great job.
But the English was a key part of our education. We both remember very vividly the Father Lee's English classes, where we had to study a play a week and take a test every Monday.
Right. And Father Lee was a great cook also. He was a terrific cook. And a great example for all. We love literature more and more as a result of his teaching us and developing interest in it.
This education just made my life. The liberal arts education has made me appreciate art and architecture and music. To this day, my husband and I subscribe to most of the cultural events in Houston, the Symphony, the Opera, Friends of Music. I'm a docent at the Museum of Fine Arts, so St. Thomas meant a lot to me.
I lived at 3808 Yoakum my freshman year, and we wrote a song about the dorm, which we sang over an assembly. And I can remember the first verse of it, and it goes like this. This is the story of a St. Thomas dorm. We are the boys who live in this dorm. The ceiling's cracked, the walls are breaking. 38080808, yo, wake 'em.
St. Thomas was one of my best experiences in my life. It lingered on. I'm older than they all are pretty much now. I'm 75 years old, but I still recall those days like yesterday. Father Guinan, the president of the university, just drafted me on a lot of things that got me active. I was kind of a reluctant activist. But he was another one of those gentlemen that was an inspiration to all of us.
Back in 1957, if you made application here, you had to go talk to Father Guinan. And he said something that has been repeated again and again here tonight. He said there's bigger, there's fancier universities all over everywhere. But he said, if you come here, we're going to teach you to think. And you're going to know as you go through life that none of these other universities are going to teach you to think like we will. And as I have gone on through 71 years of life now, I guess every day I've appreciated that a little bit more.
My years at St. Thomas were interesting. I did not want to go to school. My parents had to force me into going to college. I was interested only in chasing boys, not textbooks. But you know, St. Thomas did instill something in me which stuck, because I became a professional secretary, and I was on a very high administrative level in D.C. And then I pursued interior design, which was something I had always wanted to do. But I do owe a great deal of my inner strength, my spiritual side, and just everything that I accomplished, I owe a great deal of it to the Basilian Fathers.
We're here representing the one of the better clubs at the university when we were here. It's called the Motley Crew.
We call it the Royal Order of the Mop and Broom. We had the job of cleaning the student center where the reception is being held.
We got paid for doing this job.
And we had an account down at Bill Moore's Little Hut. On Saturdays, we'd go drink it up.
We would buy a bunch of beer and go down to Galveston and drink it at the beach.
It was really an upscale club. It's high quality.
Yes, wonderful group of guys. You know, the top-notch, top part of the class.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
You know, here we were, this small little school, didn't have any significant sports activity, so we decided we'd have homecoming. We had homecoming, and we paraded up and down the street with big signs saying we were going to beat State. Of course, we didn't know who State was, but we were going to beat State, so we had a heck of a time. It was a good, fun, small school place to be, and I remember it fondly.
I remember Father Meyer's biology class. He had an anatomy class, and they only could have half a cadaver, and he brought it in the back of his car on the days that they had anatomy. And the worry was that he'd be in a wreck, and somebody would wonder what happened to the top of the cadaver or the bottom of the cadaver. But in the end, he never had a wreck, and it all worked out very well.
The one that sticks out in my mind is R.E. Bob Lamb, Father Lamb, the history professor. We used to make fun of him because he published a book called Thunder in the North about the Louis Riel Rebellion in Canada. Since that time, I've moved up here near the Canadian border and become aware of what was going on in there. And I found out that that was one of the best detailed research books at about a critical point in Canadian history, and I was amazed that not enough people recognized that when he was down there.
The memory I would like to tell you about is a fellow's picture that's on the desk right here, Jim Foley and Oscar Selly, who passed away in California, and David Stewart, who is a retired Army colonel. And here I am, a retired state employee. At one time, we put on a show in the Jones Hall Auditorium at one of the student meetings. We had one every week on Tuesday when I was a student here. We did a hula dance. 4 white males, lilies, got up with hula skirts and coconuts in the appropriate place and did a hula dance for the entertainment for that student meeting. And to this day, many people try not to remember that.
I remember the inside of the little room next to what was the student center because Tom Crisp and I spent hours and hours there editing the yearbooks.
The Mickey Mouse Club was on TV then, and that was quite popular. And so when we had the campaign, they said that this group that was working with me said, MICHAEL Hall for President. And then, of course, the competition came back and said that a vote for Mike Hall is a vote for Mickey Mouse.
I also had the honor of being one of the Miss Tortoises from the turtle races. The whole point of it was you had to have a good sense of humor. Your crown was an empty turtle shell that they kept in the biology lab, and your scepter was some palm frond that had fallen off one of the palm trees on Yocum Avenue. And so they chose me that year.
It did have its benefits and perks besides the good education. I ended up getting a husband here. We have 50 years of marriage, and this reunion has been wonderful, getting together with all of these friends for the past 50 years. Go Celts.
Today, seeing some of my friends from then, it's just been a real treat. I realize how smart everybody is. The guys and girls who are smart then are just as sharp and smart today as they were then, and it's great fun to be with them.
I think it was 1956, 57. He has a slide rule that's probably about from here to there. I mean, big. And at that time, we didn't have any calculators.
Right.
He came over and put a class on, teach us how to use the slide rule. And, you know, that stood well for us for, I guess, 3 or 4 years. This university meant so much to me, it's kind of hard to put it in words, except I do know that by taking philosophy, it really gave me a way to be able to think through good and bad times. The people that I met here were so diverse compared to the ends of town that I grew up in. These priests made you think. They expected more out of my thought process than I could give them. I am so glad that God saw a way to get me here to this university. It's done more for me than I could ever do for it. Yay, the bazillions.
Even though some of us struggled, it was a matter of making us think. And Larry picked up on that key word too. We thought, we went out in the world, and we were really very successful for the majority of the group for the class our size. And so to Father Braden, the dear faculty that are no longer here, and the university, I say thank you.
I'll do my best to keep the old tradition of people like Father Sullivan and Caird and E. Leonard Rush and Father Guinan and all those great guys the best to you.